What's going on, everybody? The Javiiurena podcast is now sponsored by Five Sports on Instagram. I'm giving them a shout out. Shoot, look at the jerseys behind me. If you want a basketball, soccer jersey, go get it. You name it, you will not regret it. Go check out their page for more details, right? Also, quick shout out to your Shunies on Instagram. Go check him out. He's doing great things out there. Shout out my boy. Go check. If you need your shoe cleaned, you need it spotless, get a little stain off it, you won't regret it. Off to the show, let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Ep.19 of the Javiiurena podcast. I bring to you guys Diego Garcia. What's up, Diego? How are you, man?
Doing great, Javi. How about yourself, dude? I'm honored to be here.
Of course, bro.
Yeah.
You're one of the actual people who I've seen I've seen you grow, meaning from what you've done, and I'm like, you know what? He definitely has a good story.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep.
I recently saw your podcast. I think I first came across it when I saw Jared's episode.
Okay.
And then I was like, dude, this is awesome seeing what you're doing, because I remember we had Spanish, right?
Yeah, with Pimentel and with Dave too.
Yeah. That was a good time, man. Good time, I remember you from high school. So seeing you put yourself out there and just share the story of other people, I thought that was
definitely, bro.
Super awesome.
So let's actually get it started up there in high school. So let's tell us a little about your fitness life, because I remember back when I've seen pictures of you, like you were like, oh, like Zadrak, for example. He's like, yeah, bro, he got big. I'm like, what? I remember that. That's exactly what I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, we had Spanish together with Pimentel. But okay, so you did track back in the day. How was that?
So
or cross country. Was it track?
It was cross country.
Okay.
I did track in middle school, and then I think it interfered with seasons in high school, so I ended up doing just cross country and tennis for a bit. But cross country was fun, man. It was definitely a big difference from track, because in track I would do I forget the terms of it now, but it was like the short distance. So I believe so a lot of sprinting. And then once I entered cross country, it was like I was like dead after the first practice. I was like, I can't believe we're going to be running this much, But it was good just being able to push yourself that much, because practices would be like 4 miles, and then it got to the point where 4 miles was nothing. You could just keep adding one, and it was just trying to beat your last time, your last mile. So for me, that was like a good push to just know like how far I could push my body, because it was very hard. I remember coming home from practices and I would just throw up, because I was like dizzy and like probably not eating, because with school you get that one lunch, and even then it's not that nutritious, and then you exert yourself that much through practice.
For sure.
But it was super awesome. One thing though is I lost a lot of weight from running that much. I remember in middle school I was about like 120 pounds. And then freshman year of high school, after that cross country season, I was weighing like maybe 105 the most. So definitely dropped quite a bit.
Because I know you're one of the first people I knew that actually did cross country. So I've always wanted to ask why did you enjoy it? Who did you compete with? Because I played soccer, and I had other people to compete with. Obviously, you compete with yourself, right? Like your goals, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The way it works is you get so you run as a team, basically your school. So the people they're on your team, and then basically it's rated by points. So if the majority of people in your team finish first, that adds up the points. And I believe the team with the most points wins. So basically if there's 3 guys from Pittman and 2 from Turlock, but the 3 from Pittman finished before the 2 from Turlock, then Pittman would win.
Yep.
So yeah, it was. But so it's still teamwork, because you try to push the other guys too, behind you, come on, let's keep going, pass this guy up. If you pass this guy up, that allows us to get ahead of that school. So in a way, it's still teamwork, but a lot of it is just yourself.
Okay. So has anybody ever asked you oh, why do you run for fun, or how do you like running for fun?
Back then, yeah, I don't run at all anymore. I want to get back into it, but not at all anymore. But yeah, people used to always ask me why do you run? It's like our torture. In our our sport, they make us run if we fuck up. Sorry if I cuss.
No, you're good, bro. Hey, you speak your mind, bro. You speak your mind. If it comes out, it comes out. You're
awesome.
good.
Yeah, they're like they make us run if we like screw up. The coach gets mad at us.
Yeah.
So like, why do you just do it for fun? Like, I don't get it.
Because like, let's see, like my bad, like in soccer though, like we fucking hated running. I'll tell you that. And like
Yeah,
it just like how we didn't see how like cross country or track just like running for fun.
yeah.
So it's always good to like hear the story of it though.
It was like it felt like torture at first,
Yeah.
like when you're first getting into it, but it gets to a point where you, and I hear this from a lot of people that run, is just like you get like the runner's high. Like once you just
Oh,
keep,
okay.
once you start going, like it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
Especially when the weather's nice, and it's also different when you're running outdoors, just because you get to explore different scenery, and it never gets boring because you could choose to run in your neighborhood one day. The next day you could choose to drive an hour out and then run, in a different place. So it just never gets boring.
So like, did you ever, like you said, like practice running? So what was like before, like back in the day, what was your favorite place to run at? Was it like your
Um,
neighborhood or just what was it at?
yeah. So back then it was hard because I wasn't driving.
Okay.
It was hard for like my mom to try to give me a ride so I could just go run. She would probably find that stupid, but
Yeah.
yeah. So just my neighborhood, or honestly like just around like the school area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, okay, so let's talk about your injury that you haven't. So is this injury like did it affect you from like your cross country? Like did it end your cross country career or even ruin your
Yeah.
career?
So it was just really like severe shin splints.
Oh, okay.
And I tried getting different pairs of shoes. I tried a lot of things. I tried exercises that would like help strengthen those muscles, and they did help for a while. But it got to the point where it felt like my bones were like shattering
Yeah,
every step I took, and I would just push through it. But I remember finishing races, and it was like everything was just throbbing, and
I feel it.
it
Yeah.
hurt like super bad. So I decided to just that's around the time when I started working out at home.
Oh, okay.
Started working out at home, and then I started seeing the results, and I was like, dang, like just eating a little bit more and working out
Yeah.
can do that. Like, what if I actually like stick to it? What if I actually like try to get a gym membership and like try to learn as much as I can about like
I feel it.
nutrition and all that stuff? And then from there, I just got hooked on the results. And
Yeah.
at the moment, a lot of the people that I like got information from, as far as like how to get bigger, how to like get the results you wanted.
Yeah.
A lot of them were like, if you're trying to gain weight, like stay away from cardio. That was like one thing a lot of them said. So I ended up doing that, and since running is cardio, I just ended up like slowly putting it to the
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Let's get there then. So, what was the first gym you ever went to? Like you signed
Uh,
up at?
so the first ever gym was Turlock Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah, right there on Gear Road. It was one of my favorite gyms. To this day, if it was still open, that's the gym I would be at.
Okay.
Just because it was very old school. It was like family owned. Everyone in there was super helpful. Like I remember walking in, and there was guys that were like, they had the results that I wanted to get, and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, like, I'm new to the gym. How do you do this exercise? I would just ask them,
So
and
back in the
nobody,
day too, let's see, how different was it from now? Because I know you still currently work out, but how different was it back then? Like when you first like, I know everyone has a beginning start, but how like was it for you back then?
yeah, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was like bro science, like if you've heard of that term, like to the max, like
Oh yeah.
counting every single calorie, but like still trying to eat as much as I could.
Yeah.
Like I was drinking water, taking any supplement you could think of, like legal supplements. Like I
Yeah.
was like, I need everything because everything's gonna help. But then like once you start learning more, you realize like as long as you like hit a certain amount of things, like get your protein in and lift with the proper program and just eat the enough food that you need, that'll help you. But when I first started, I was just like obsessed with everything, and I tried everything out.
Yeah.
So it was just a fun experience. And it was around the same time also like freshman year. So I would just get out of class, and then all I could look forward to was
Was
just
the
going to
gym?
the gym.
Yep.
Like that was literally it.
Okay. So like okay, so now you're being consistent, right? So at one point in like time, did you start realizing I'm like okay, I'm actually gaining weight, but in a good weight? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when did you all realize that?
I would say it was going into sophomore year.
Okay.
I still remember because you have like the 3 month break
Yeah.
that summer.
Yep.
I remember like freshman year, like I was still working out, and like no one ever said anything. But then like, I guess after you don't see people for a while and then you see them later, it's much easier to tell differences than if you see them every single day. So I remember coming back and it was literally like, it was weird, man. Everyone was like touching my arms.
Oh, shit.
And everyone was like, are you on steroids? Like all this other stuff. Cause I went from 105 pounds to like 160 pounds by the time.
Holy shit.
Yeah. By the time. So yeah, like that's a lot of weight to put on. So like people were like, what are you on? And then that's when I realized like, oh shit, like it's actually working. Cause like like my parents wouldn't tell me anything because they'd see me every day.
Yeah.
And even myself, like I would do like the progress photos, but then I'd be like, oh, like, it's not that much of a difference. But then like, once everyone's like, dude, what happened? Then you're like, oh shit, it's actually something happened.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember like I told like when I met you, like going back to Zayda real quick. I remember this exactly. When I met you, you showed me your ID from the year before. Like I couldn't even recognize you. I'm like, oh my, this
like,
guy. Yep. But yeah, okay. So now moving on past that though, for your opinions, like on yourself, what's like the biggest you've ever been? Like weight and even muscle wise.
Like 205.
And how much are you right now?
Like 170.
170.
Yeah, so I lost a lot of weight.
Okay, for sure. So like you've experienced it all from weight wise. So how do you like feeling like around what weight? I know weight doesn't matter, but like around like, you know what I mean?
I would say 5 pounds heavier than what I'm at right now. Like 175 is where I always felt like super comfortable.
Yeah.
Like energy wise, like you don't feel like you're tired because sometimes when you get like you cut your calories slow and start losing a lot of weight, you'll definitely start feeling tired. Like as the day goes by. And then when I was like 205, it was also you feel tired just because you're eating so much food and you just feel like slowed down. Because at that point I was just focused on like calories. I was like, I gotta eat like 6,000 calories every day, and like it turns into bad weight too.
How much calories did you eat though at one point? Like the most calories you've ever eaten?
20,000.
20,000? So you would like what would you eat though? Like what would it consist of?
So it was the day of my show.
Okay.
So I had prepped for like 16 weeks. I believe it was 16 weeks. So like you go all that time without eating, a lot of the foods that you like.
Yep.
And then for me, since it was like the first time where I was like, I did the show, I was like, I'm gonna just enjoy myself for this night. And I remember going to BJ's and like just getting like the biggest, I think it was like the large or extra large, like deep dish. And I ate all of that. And dude, it was like I couldn't stop eating. Like I was just hungry. Like
oh my god, I feel it.
I like 3 Pizookies, I ate them. And the show was in Sacramento, and I ended up heading back down that same night. And I remember having like boxes of donuts. One of my friends had also brought me like some snacks, and like I had like Snicker bites. I had like all my rice cakes that I ate like backstage, honey, a box of Oreos. Like it was bad food, man. And I just remember like, on the car ride just eating. And I remember getting home and I was like, damn, it's all gone. And I got home and I still kept eating. And it was crazy. And then I remember I tracked everything that day on my fitness pal just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And like towards the end of the night.
20,000? God damn.
Like 20,000.
Fuck. Compared to how much do you eat right now at this moment? Not
like,
near that?
No, like yeah, like 2,500.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like about average, So you brought up your competitions. How many competes were you in competitions were in? Exactly.
Just one. I just did one.
What did one? How was that experience for you?
Dude, it was awesome. So I did it because I just saw a lot of people that I followed like doing them, and I had a cousin of mine was also competing at the moment. He was like about 30. So like I looked up to him and I saw everything that he was doing. So it was cool to see him on stage, and then a lot of YouTubers that I watched at that time too, like they all competed at least like once a year. So I thought it was just something that would be cool to try out. And I tried it, and it was honestly like a really good experience. Like you just learn a lot about yourself as a person, like what you can, like what your limits are, like what you can push to. And then you also realize that it's not something a lot of people can do. So
yeah,
it feels like a big accomplishment, just knowing that you're able to do it.
yeah.
And I feel like once you do it, it just like flicks something in your mind where you like, you can do anything that you want to do. Yeah.
Because like from my point of view, like okay, so I've seen about I think 3 people like compete that I knew. So like you, now Jared, and then even JT. So I'm just like I wanted to get to know like what the experience is like for you guys. Because I know Jared, he had mentioned something like that the competitors there, like it wasn't about like winning the whole thing. It was about helping each other out. Like was that same for you? You know?
Oh, 100%. I remember showing up backstage and not gonna lie, I felt a bit intimidated because it was my first time doing that. I was also 17, so I was like backstage, and I was just like trying to learn as much as I could by observing, but I felt like I couldn't even observe because everyone would just come up to me right away and be like, "Hey man, is this your first show?" Or like, "Dude, how old are you?" That was like a question I got a lot. And then the minute you tell people, they'd be like, "Dude, like you look super good for your age." Or like, "I can't believe you're doing this." Like when I was your age, who knows what I was doing?
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, "Hey, have you taken this? Did you already eat this? Like, do you have a coach? Like, do you have equipment to pump up?" And everyone's just trying to help each other out. Like right before you step on stage with the guys you're going to compete to, everyone like, it's like brotherhood. Like everyone just gives each other like fist pumps. Even during stage, like once they announce like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, like everyone's just like, hugging it out and just like being respectful. Like you don't see anyone like throwing a fit if someone else won. Like it's just, you learn
Like
what you
anything
need to
else, right?
learn.
No other sport will like compare to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You just learn what you need to learn because you know that all those guys that are there did the same thing you did. So like
Exactly.
all you can do is have respect towards them too.
Yep. So like, cause like, say for you, you're like building your way up to that competition, and so are the other people. So like
Yeah.
for you though, like you're thinking, all right, let me work on myself. But then when you get there, those other people are helping you out. Everyone's just like whole different kind of like friendly there. You know what I mean? Which I
Yeah.
found cool whenever I heard that.
And that's
Definitely.
why when I saw Jared compete, I was like, dude, like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I
Yeah.
help you? Like, you want to record? Like, all right, let's record. And I'm gonna be going down with him for this second show
Okay.
down in Huntington, because it's just a cool experience. And honestly, seeing him do it makes me want to get back into it. Like, it
Yeah.
lit that fire up again. Like,
Definitely. Yep.
ever since I saw him do it, I was like, dude, this guy's a beast. Like,
No, yeah,
he's doing
definitely.
what no one else can do. Like, I gotta. Like it
Yeah.
just lit the fire, man. Like
Absolutely.
it was super awesome.
So
So
wait,
I've been
speaking
very
of Jared, real quick though, how'd you guys like? I know you like, obviously, like you said or no, but how'd you guys all come about like just getting it together? You know what I mean?
yeah. So it's funny, man. When I sometimes I look at Jared, like we'll be working out, and I'm like, I can't believe this is the same guy that was in my because I took foods class my
Okay.
senior year
All right.
as like just like an elective class because I needed something to fill it in.
Yeah.
And I remember it was mostly freshmen, and they were just like goofy, like they
Yeah.
would
I feel it.
like joke around like all the time. It was like good energy, but like they would just joke nonstop. And
Yeah.
Jared,
Okay.
Jared was like the kid you would consider like the class clown.
Yeah.
Like he just loved having a good time and just like making everyone
I feel
like
it.
laugh or whatever it was. But and then I remember seeing him in the gym like a couple years later, and I was like, oh shit, like this guy looks good. And I think he remembered me, and we started talking from
Okay.
there. And then from there, we've just been keeping in contact with each other.
For
And then
sure.
recently, we started training
Yep.
a lot more often.
Cause I've seen let's see, I saw you guys at the gym one time. I think you guys were recording, but like I'm going to like how you've seen him grow basically, right?
Yeah.
Whole different type. But now going towards you now, like when did you stop feeling like the like I know at one point you felt up here with the gym, but when did it start like dying down? Like you kind of like didn't feel the same. You know how like the energy level. When did the energy level die?
Yeah.
Or if it died, you know what I mean? Like slow down.
Yeah. No, it definitely did.
Okay.
I feel like it died once I started trying different things out.
Okay.
So like I remember that was around the same time I started just getting a lot busier with like work. And then aside from work, I was also like doing some shoots. So,
Yes.
and then I started kind of getting like that same obsession that I got for fitness, where I'm like watching all these YouTube
Yep.
videos, like just trying to learn as much as I
I feel
could.
it.
It wasn't about the gym anymore. It was more so like about like how to use your camera, like how to like the right settings, like all those little things that are like nowadays I don't even think about it, like the basics, the essentials. But back then I was like super hooked on just like learning as much as I could. And at the same time, this happened right around the time when like we were easing into the pandemic.
Okay.
Like I started developing that passion, and then by the time it was like February of last year, it was like I felt pretty good with like balancing like the work and then still being consistent with the gym.
Yeah.
But more of my passion lied in like the video and photo stuff.
Okay.
So once the gym shut down, it's just like, oh, I can't do that anymore. So it was like cold turkey. Like I remember I tried working out at home for like a couple of days, but all I had was like a 15-pound kettlebell. Like just
I
couldn't really do anything with that. So it just got boring, and I was like, oh man, like nothing's open. I'm just gonna just keep doing what I'm doing, and it did get pretty busy at that point, but it was a good period.
Yeah.
And then now that everything's reopening back up again, it's nice to kind of like after that year off, it's nice to introduce it again, just because I feel like I did need that year off from the gym to just
I feel it, yeah. Just get your mind right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. So now we spoke of photography real quick. We'll get to there in a bit, but like what's some advice you have for like people out there that want to go to the gym, get bigger, or like even like do like cutting, either getting cut or getting bigger, bulkier, you know?
Yeah.
That you've learned at least from your time at the gym.
Yeah, I would say the first thing, whether you want to do one or the other, is you got to learn about your body first. Figure out where your metabolism is at. So that basically just means like if you eat a lot of food, are you going to gain a lot of weight? If you eat a lot of food, like do you stay the same weight? Like how does your body work? How quickly do you like burn through it? So once you figure that out, then you can start adjusting and just figuring out. So
Yeah.
The one tip for gaining weight, I would just say like just focus on consuming more calories, but not overdoing it.
Yeah.
So you want to like your maintenance calories and then add like 200 to 300, and then from there just keep adjusting as you like struggle with gaining weight. Just add a little bit more, and it's a similar process with losing weight. You want to just find those maintenance calories and then subtract 200 to 300, and then just keep making those micro adjustments from there.
Basically, just staying consistent with it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Staying consistent with it and just tracking. Like that's the best way to do it. Because I remember for a while I got pretty confident, and I was like, oh, I don't need to track anymore. Like I have a pretty good idea just by eyeballing food. I could kind of tell, and it does work, but you won't get as precise and like exact than if you like track. And I always try to do your best.
Okay.
And also like the type of foods that you eat, like when I'm trying to gain weight, it's a lot of carbs for me. So I like to focus more so on whole foods because I realize like those work for me. So like it's honestly just like rice, chicken, beef, fish, and then vegetables, whatever vegetables you want to eat.
For sure. So I want to ask you something real quick. So I'm usually in like cutting mode. I'm never like bulking mode. For you, like how is it like just like being in the bulking? You know, like because I know you. I feel like we came opposite directions. You know what I mean? Yeah. For me, I grew up big, so like I've always wanted to like cut weight, and you grew up small and you wanted to gain weight. How is it like just wanting to gain weight? You know what I mean?
I would say it's pretty hard. Like you're always eating. Like you always have to be eating even if you're not hungry. Even right now, I'm struggling because I like set a number of macros that I want to hit by the end of the day, and it'll be like midnight, and I'm still like short, and I'll just be in the kitchen like trying to like complete it and figure out like what else I can eat.
Yeah.
And then I still have to wait so it digests so that I can go to bed.
For real.
So it's hard because it feels like you're always eating it, and it's not that I'm not timing like my meals properly. It's more so it's just so much food.
Yeah, to absorb, you know, yeah.
Like I'll be like, it's like each meal is like 9 or 10 ounces of rice, and you're just eating all that rice, and then you still have like five ounces of beef or meat, whatever you want to do, and that's like almost a pound of food every meal. So you're eating that, and then like 2 hours later, you got to do the same thing. Well, by the time it hits like late at night, you're still short. So it's also like allowing myself to get used to that much food, because then I'll be able to add more once I get used to it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I want to move on to the next topic. So, videography and photography. How did you get all into that? Like, when did it all start for you? That's the
Yeah, I would say it started since I was young. I remember going on field trips, like back in like kindergarten,
okay.
and I would always ask my mom if she could get me like those the Kodak disposable cameras,
Yeah.
or like the green ones, and we would just run over to like CVS or like Save Mart, like right before we would go to the field trips, and she would pick one up for me. I just remember taking photos. Like I was always like into it, whether it was like going to a zoo or whatever it was. Like I would just ask for a disposable, and then just take the photos and then drop it off at like CVS again, and just get it developed. I just remember like looking at all the photos, and I would always just keep them with me. And then from there, it transitioned into like my mom got like a point and shoot camera for when we would take like vacations.
Okay.
So we would just go with family for vacations, like down in San Diego. I have an aunt there, and we would just go there every year and just stay at her house for like a week, and just go visit like the zoo, maybe go to like a Padres game, a lot of stuff like that. And I would hikes too, and I would always take the point and shoot. And I was really like the only one that used it, even though it was my mom's camera.
Yeah.
And I would take the photos and then yeah, just store them, and that's really all I would do. And then I stopped doing a lot of that. And then it was honestly once we got back into high school that I started getting like, I was like competitive with like school projects.
Yeah.
Like if there's an opportunity to do like a school project, I wanted
Like
mine
to
to be
stand
good.
out, kind of. You know what I mean? Like to stand out. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
So I remember we had some, and we would have the options of like doing a video.
Yeah.
And I would always be like, oh, like we got to do this, we got to do that. Like when it could have just been like a poster or something. But
Yeah.
I would
Yeah. I get you.
set up a video and just try to get creative with it, and like whatever idea was in my head, like try to make it happen in real
Okay.
life.
So it's all about
So
just creativity, huh? Yep.
yeah, so I feel like it was a lot of that, just trying to um, let my creativity out.
Yeah.
And then it was around the time when like a couple years later, like my junior year, when I started getting like more consistent in the gym,
Okay.
I ended up buying a like a DSLR. It was like the Canon T5i. And I remember I got that, I like emptied like my whatever savings I had and just bought it.
Okay.
And then I got it and I was like in love with it just because it was like more of a professional camera than anything I had used before, because I was just using like my phone at a point. So it was just nice. I started just shooting with friends, the school projects, and then also like myself for a moment. I wanted to start like a YouTube channel and start vlogging like my fitness journey. So I would take it to the gym and just record myself and just play around with the editing on just stuff that I was doing for myself. So that's really how it all started.
Okay. So now as you get more into photography and videography, like when did you start realizing that you're actually like we're seeing progress? As in even in the gym, as you see progress, but your skills in photography, when did you start realizing that they're getting better?
I would say it was when I was I would try to like work out with a friend
Okay.
whenever I went to the gym, and then I would always bring my camera with me and ask if they could like take photos, and they would just take the photos, and then I would get home after the workout and just edit them.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
And I would just edit them and then post them on my Instagram, and I always got compliments of like, oh, I like how like your feed looks, like it all flows, like that photo is pretty cool. And then I remember one time I was like, oh, like people are always like, it looks pretty good, let me try something out. So I remember I messaged this guy named Alexander Fong. He was like a pro bodybuilder, and he was living in San Jose at the moment. So I was like, I should message him and see if he'd be down to like, if I can take some photos of him in the gym. Cause I was already doing that for myself. I was like, maybe I could offer that to him. And yeah, he was super nice about it. He invited me to like do a workout with him. And then afterwards we took some photos and he really liked them. And then after that, I ended up going back cause he hosted like a posing seminar for people that want to learn how to pose.
Yeah.
And I shot that for him, and he really liked it too. And then from there, he started shouting my page out, and that helped like just bring in different crowds and different groups of people. Yeah. And then from there, at the same time, I was also working a job at a meal prep company.
Okay.
And this was when I was going to school and I just needed like a part-time job. And I was just portioning the meals out, and it got to the point where the owner asked me if I could take a few photos for him at some point of like the food. And I did that, and they didn't look good back then.
Okay.
And I just took whatever feedback I could get, like,
Yeah.
oh, like, let's adjust the colors here. Let's try to make this look a little bit more vibrant. So I just always kept just trying to get the feedback and looking at what other people are doing, like other styles, and using all of that to kind of start creating my own style. And then from there, it was like working with this guy that ran the meal prep company. Like that also gave me a lot of exposure, because then people were asking him like, who's doing your work? And then that allowed me to connect with other people. So it was a really cool experience, and that helped out a lot as well.
It's all about exposure too, like exposing your work, like getting out there, as you said.
Yeah.
So, and then you bring up like your photography and gym. It seems like you were shooting for what you formerly loved. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like it all kind of like clicked, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then so now besides the gym, like, is there any other favorite memorable shoots that you've had or done?
Memorable shoots. So going back with this first guy that I shot with, Alexander, we ended up going to Vegas a few times for the Olympia, and we shot some photos, and that was a blast, dude. Because I was passionate about the sport, so for me to go to the Olympia was like, it's like a soccer fanatic going to like the World Cup,
I feel it.
You're
Definitely.
like,
Yep.
dude, this is crazy. And then also like being able to just hang out with him and learn like how he works out, how he trains, like how he eats. Like when you get to follow someone and really like analyze someone, like you learn a lot. So for me, that was like a big eye opener, to seeing like what he was about and how dedicated he was to it. So that was definitely like one of my most memorable shoots.
Yeah, because I've seen on your Instagram page, like, do like you do, like most of the majority of it's like you're like you said, like photography, right? And I admire your work. Like, dude, you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure. So now, like, what do you plan on doing with like photography, videography? Like, what are some of the goals you have in mind?
I definitely want to get more into the business side of photography
Yeah.
and videography. So really dial in a creative business. So that's my main focus right now. It's a big learning lesson. I'm figuring a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
And just going with the process. There was a moment where I got super, like, I just felt like I had to like hustle.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to keep going at it. And it was cool, but I definitely experienced burnout to the point where I was like, I don't even know if I like this anymore.
Yeah, I feel it.
Forcing it and like being aggressive with it, which there's nothing bad with doing that. But I realized that it was slowly like killing it for me.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where I just felt like I needed to take a step back.
Like the pressure level is too high, Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Really just take a step back and figure out like what I want to do with it. Cause I know it's something I enjoy.
Yeah.
I was just figuring out where I want to take it. So that's definitely where I'm at right now. I'm still doing work, still taking on shoots. And I've been fortunate enough to stay pretty busy. Like this, from today until the 3rd, I'm here in Pismo Beach right now.
Okay.
And I'm doing a shoot for a friend of mine. And it's just awesome being able to, travel somewhere,
Yeah.
even if it's like within the state, and just have days where like, this is your job, like you're shooting, you're getting paid for your time, and like you're basically on your own time as well. Like you're able to control things.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm super fortunate for and blessed for. And I just want to be able to figure out how to take it to the next level.
Yep, definitely. Like you bring up traveling, because I know like a few other shooters too. Like there's Caleb, Caleb Henry, right?
Yeah.
Caleb and Andy Rojo.
Yeah.
Like I always see you guys, like you guys are always out and about. Like, like say you're in Pismo right now, or Caleb will be in Sacramento, stuff like that. Like it's always about traveling, getting your work out there,
Because for a moment I got pretty stuck on like, I felt like all I could do was work with people in Modesto.
Uh-huh.
And recently I snapped out of it, and I was like, man, like there's so much.
Like there's the world, bro. Like go travel, go do something,
Yeah, there's photographers that I follow and like videographers that like live in one state and they get booked like across the country.
Yeah,
Just because they're so good. So I really want to hone in on my craft and just try to get it as good as I can. Because
definitely.
there's one thing like people telling you like, "Oh, dude, you're really good. I like your work." But I feel like when it's yourself, you're always like way harder on yourself.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And
That's
that
where I'm
comes to
right.
anything too. You know what I mean? Comes to everything.
Yeah. So like when someone tells me like, "Oh, your photo looks awesome," I like second guess it. I'm like thinking
Yeah,
like, does it really look
you're
good?
like in your mind, it needs more work. It needs more work. You know?
Yeah, could I have done a better job? Like, how could
Yeah.
I have done this better? Like,
Self
maybe,
criticism, kind of, right? Yeah.
yeah. And it can be a bad thing. It's been a bad thing a couple times, but
Yeah.
it's just understanding that as long as you're not actually putting yourself down and you're just doing
Yeah,
it
for
with
sure.
getting better, it's only going to help you out.
So now, okay, so I'm gonna go with something real quick. So, okay, so me as a soccer player, athlete, those athletes out there have their favorite soccer players that they like mock their games off of. Do you have any like photographers that are out there that you kind of like try to take things from? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Recently, I've been really admiring the work of my boy, Edward Lee.
Okay.
So he's a videographer based in Seattle. So I've been following him for quite a while now, and recently he invited me to be on like a live coaching call with him
Okay.
on like Instagram Live, and I did it, and it was super like eye opening. And then from there, we've been able to stay in touch, and it's just been awesome
Yeah.
connecting with him. And then also, there's another creative in Arizona. His name's Gordon Lee.
Okay. Yeah.
He has a podcast called Live to Create.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard
And
of it.
yeah, dude, it's so good. Like
Definitely. Yep.
I'll listen to it. Like he hasn't posted an episode in a while,
Yeah.
but I binged it and I was just like listening to every single episode, and it's just so much good information to soak
Yeah.
up.
Definitely. It's always about like keeping your mind open too. You know, you can, like you said, bettering yourself. Just keeping your mind open. You know, like listening to ideas from other people too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So now, okay, that's about it from there. I want to ask you now. So going back to the gym real quick, what are your rank the gyms that you've been to? I don't know how many you've been to, but like say, just rank them in any order.
Yeah, like every single one.
How many have you been to? If you don't mind asking.
Well, let's have some fun here.
Yeah, let's rank them. Let's go.
Let's try to figure it out. I'm gonna try to go from like first to like the last. So
Okay, let's get it. Let's get it. So the
um,
first overall gym you've
yeah,
experienced. All right.
uh, I'll just conclude it. First one was like home gym.
Okay.
I got like one of those like they used to sell them at Sears like back in the day when like Sears was still in the mall.
Yeah.
It was like it had like the chest thing, and then it had
Oh,
like
okay. Good
legs,
shit.
like a lat pull
Yep.
down. I had one of those in my garage, and that was what I started working out for like the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got a membership at Turlock Fitness. I was there for a while, and then they closed down, and I ended up going to InShape on
Okay.
Gear. So InShape on Gear, and then Brenda's after that. And then after Brenda's, I had Relentless. And then after Relentless, I had Get Fit 24/7.
Okay.
I was going there. And then back in the day, it was Combat Zone Fitness.
Combat Zone Fitness. Yeah.
It's like
Off
insomnia.
of yeah, it's Insomnia now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going there for a while too. In Shape on Monte Vista. And then Fit Republic took over the old Turlock Fitness.
Okay.
I went there for a while too. A bunch of other Fit Republics in like Manteca,
Yeah.
Modesto, and then besides that, like a couple 24-hour fitnesses in like
Okay.
Vegas, and then where was the other one? Like down south in like the Los Angeles area. I
Yeah.
forgot what city it was.
Okay.
Gold's Gym in Venice. That was super dope. There's also Gold's Gym in Pasadena. That was really nice. There was another gym called the EOS Fitness. That one was in Vegas. It was super cool. It was like huge and really modern. They had like a full movie theater in there.
Okay.
So like it was like cardio machines. So that was really cool. And then my absolute favorite, I'm tied between there's damn, I'm blanking on it. It's in Vegas though. The Lift Factory.
Okay.
That's
What's so good about that one?
It's
different environment, or
it's a different environment.
Okay.
And I first went to it during the Olympia, and it was just crazy because it's like the one gym in Vegas where everyone goes to
Oh, okay, get you.
during Olympia. Like Chris Bumstead and Gymshark like would just be filming in there
Yeah.
for all their stuff. And then I remember the time we went, this guy Big Ramy, he was just in there doing a photo shoot, and just seeing all that happen was super cool. And just the environment, like they had like every Mr. Olympia like artwork on the wall, like graffiti on the
Okay.
wall. And it was just cool, like the machines they had too. Like they're not machines you would find at like
Yeah.
a gym here. There's like the vertical leg press, like just a lot of cool stuff. And then the other one that I'm tied with is Metroflex in Long Beach.
Okay.
It's like if you follow CT Fletcher, I believe that's where he trains. It's like there's like a bunch of gladiators painted on the walls, and it's like very old school, like a lot of rust on like the
Yeah.
equipment and all that. But it's what makes it pretty unique.
So for both, just definitely like unique environment. You know what I mean?
Unique environments, yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna be the second person to ask this now. So you're at a dinner table, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to name 5 dinner guests that you would have, just conversating up. 5. They could be dead or alive, famous, your
Yeah.
close friends.
Dude,
5.
that's a tough question. Like that puts me on the spot. I would definitely say the people that I've learned a lot from. So I would go ahead and do, if you know Christian Guzman,
Okay.
I would do him because that guy's a beast with everything he's doing. Like I just want to learn like how he works because it's insane.
Yeah.
And then I would do the 2 creators I mentioned, Edward and Gordon, for sure.
That's 3. You need 2 more.
Thinking, man. I feel like I shouldn't be thinking about this. I feel like I should know, right away.
I feel it. Yep.
Yeah. Damn, dude, it's on the spot. Who else would I want to have there? Dude, I'm having a hard time.
Well, as you name them, like just a lot of creativity there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jeez. Dude, I'm struggling, man.
Damn. All good, man. All good. You got 3.
I got 3. Maybe I just have a dinner table of 3.
Maybe, yeah. All right. So next question though. Let's we all have our favorite type of music. What are your top 5 favorite artists that you like listening to on your free time, gym? Just a mixture of all of them.
Oh, dude! Now that you mentioned that, I want to have someone else on my dinner table.
Go ahead. Name them.
Russ.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Definitely Russ. Like I love his music and just the stuff he talks about. So I definitely want to have him. And then this goes to another artist of mine that just his music is just very powerful. It has its own message.
Yeah.
His name is Scott. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's one of the 2 members of Suicide Boys.
Okay.
If you've heard of them. But yeah, I've been following this guy for a while, and he just celebrated like 2 years sober.
Oh, okay.
From being on like heroin and like hard drugs and like nearly overdosing a couple times to like being 2 years sober now and just like crushing it in music, producing for like Juicy J and a lot of other people.
Yep.
So like just seeing that would be awesome to just be able to have a conversation with him and
like just conversating with your like because that's 5 people to pick out of the whole world. You know what I mean? So like it'll be a great convo for sure.
I would definitely say those 5 people have been the most influential to me lately.
That's what it's all about too. You know what I mean?
And if I would say like on a daily basis, same thing too. Like I soak up things from these people like more than anyone else. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So okay.
But the 5 favorite artists, we'll go with Russ, the Suicide Boys, because I listen to them a lot. And then from there, I would definitely say I don't listen to him as much anymore, but he was always like when I was younger, Eminem. Like, I always listen to him
for sure.
And this is pretty contradicting now too. Machine Gun Kelly.
Hey, I mean, honestly at one point I liked him. You know.
Yeah.
Whenever when he started beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like his music now. It's I admire artists that don't stick to like one genre and they
I
just
feel
switch
it,
it
yeah.
up.
Because he was
So
rap, now he's, what is he, rock right now? No?
yeah, he's like a mixture, like
Mixture, huh? He's a
rock.
mixture, you know? Yep.
Yeah. Um, I got one more. Who's someone else? The Weeknd.
The
I like
Weeknd, yeah.
yeah,
He's one of my 5 favorite. Dude, that guy, I know people bash on him at the Super Bowl, but bro, like he spent 7 million of his own money to like get that setup. You know what I mean?
yeah.
For sure.
That's respect, man.
So now, as we lead up to the final question, is there any questions you have for me, real quick?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, that poster in the back is super cool, man.
Look at the whole thing. Look at that jersey right there.
Yeah.
Kobe.
That's super cool. But I did want to ask you, what made you start this podcast?
Shoot. All right. So thinking of this question, all right. So my first, because people have asked me this before, but my first answer would be my ideal answer would be definitely like when COVID happened. I watched podcasts, you know, like on YouTube. Started getting more into YouTube. It would have to be all the smoke podcasts with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. So as they bring people on, they're not just athletes; they're just people who experience different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now thinking about it, it's really like getting people, not who have done anything, but just one who I haven't talked to in a while, because I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah.
And then two, just like people who want to tell the story. You know what I mean? Like what they've been through, and that's really like what it's all about. To be honest, you know, it's not about like just to get content out there. I like conversating with people. If they want to let it public, we'll make it public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about, though, telling their story.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Yeah, because I feel like that's one thing I learned recently is like everyone has a story.
Exactly.
Like,
that's actually like my If you go on my Instagram, the podcast page, that's what it says. Everyone has a story.
oh really? That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's so cool because a lot of times like it's hard with social media too.
Yeah.
Because like from an outside view, like you can only see so much of a person, and you start formulating these things like, oh, this person either like, oh, they probably have it easy, or like
exactly, when they're busting their ass off, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or their life is probably like this, or this person's probably lazy. Like you just start like formulating things.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not until you actually like learn their backgrounds. A lot of times too, like people are so quick to judge, like, why is this person so weird? You know, like
I feel it, definitely.
Why did they do that? Why do they do that? But then you
for
just,
no apparent reason either. Yep.
You just dig into the person and you start figuring out like, oh shit, maybe they had like something traumatic happen to them when they were younger, and now you know they struggle with certain things, or whatever the case may be, or like, damn, like this guy never does anything, but he's actually like a beast. Like he has like health, money, like all this stuff, and you just start really learning a lot once you actually like have a conversation with someone.
Yep. And going back to that question, like I said, like they can have a full-on story that everybody knows, but my favorite stories are the ones like I hear that like people are like under like the radar, you know, that people haven't heard from in a while. You know what I mean? Those are always my favorite stories. You know, definitely.
That's awesome.
Anything else though, on your mind?
Anything else that we want to talk about? Like,
I have questions for me.
I was going to ask you what your favorite podcast was too, but you already mentioned that. Yep. So like, there's one thing I do like to kind of talk to people about. So for me, seeing you start this podcast was just super cool. Like honestly, when I saw it, I was like, dude, this is awesome. Yeah. I feel like not a lot of people put themselves out there, you know, like that. Like everyone's like, you know, what is this person going to think about me? Did you struggle with that when you were releasing this podcast? Like feeling like people were going to, you know, judge you for like what you said, or just for the fact that you put yourself out there? To be honest, like I didn't really think of that. I just said fuck it, let's do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. My first ever one was with Caesar, Taylor's the barber. Okay. So people know him. I'm like, fuck it, you know, like people know him. Let me get his story out there. And then it was JT, and then people would be like, oh, like some people hit me up to do it. I'm like, you know what? If you want to hit me up, we can do it. You know, it's not just about me hitting people up. If people reach out to me to do it, we'll get it done. You know what I mean? That's awesome, man. And then I felt also like as time, because if I did this after high school, I didn't have like the confidence to do it. I really do feel after dropping a lot of weight, because at one point I was 275. Oh wow! But then 2018, 19ish, I've dropped to 204 with my lowest ever weight, and I really felt that's where like my confidence came from.
And then after that, I'm a communications major too, so like I just let it out there. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna be talking, if I want to get a talking job, I'll just let it out there. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. It's just like pushing fear out of the way.
Exactly,
Realizing
bro. Yep.
you got to do it sooner than later. Might as well just do it now.
For real, for real.
That's awesome, man. Another question that I have for you is like, where do you see your podcast going? Like, is this something you want to continue to do long term?
Shoot. Okay. So where do I see it going? So so my goals, I'll tell you right now, is to get like a low key studio, you know, like get a camera set up, have people if they're down to like do face to face podcasts, like
That's
I mentioned
awesome.
to you when I reached out to you. But overall, just if they want to do Zoom, like say you're in Pismo right now, and I'm here, we can do Zoom too. But just my overall goal is like to get it more known out there. And where do I see it? Shoot, I mean, everyone wants to like how do I say it? Like get known, get big. But that, for me, it's just about getting more exposed, like getting exposed out there. You know what I mean? If it gets big, it gets big. But just it's like about conversating too. I like talking about whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Definitely that.
that's awesome, man. And then as far as like the way you go about bringing on hosts, have you focused on like, I know you said people that are like under the radar.
Yeah.
Like, is that your main
Oh no.
focus on who you want to bring on, or like down the road you want to?
It could be anybody, bro. To be honest, like I'll reach out to anybody. Like say they're people know a lot about them. Like I'll bring them on. You know, like just for the people that come on here, it could be legit anybody. You know what I mean? Like
awesome.
I'll even reach out to teachers if I have to, old coaches,
no way.
all that awesome stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anybody. Like it doesn't matter.
Mr. Mercado on here.
Exactly, bro. Hey, I'm working on it, but definitely though.
Make it happen.
Like making it fun too. You know what I mean? Making it fun.
Yeah. Who would you say is your dream, podcast guest?
Whew, okay. So like, is this like out of like what are my options?
So you can pick from anyone that is like literally anyone that you can think of, whether alive or dead.
Are we talking about celebrities? Is this kind of like the question I asked you then?
Like I wouldn't say celebrities. I would just say like if you
or just in the area.
Like out of the whole world.
Shoot.
So like it's up to you if you want to pick someone local. It's up to you if you want to pick a celebrity. Like if you just had one person that like, you're getting a guaranteed yes from them. Like who would it be?
So you're pretty much the spot now, right?
I'm making it easy. It's only one person, not five.
Fuck. Okay. So one person who I get a guaranteed yes from. And would this be like my last show I ever do, or this like you know what I mean?
No, you can keep going.
Keep going
after this. Yeah.
Let me think. I would like it to be like an athlete. Let me brainstorm real quick. Obvious answer. Okay, if I'm going, I'm not going celebrity, cause that's like too out there. You know what I mean? But okay, so you know the Torlak Kai? He's gonna enter the NFL draft this year. You know Mustafa Johnson?
Yeah, I read about that. That was super.
That
awesome.
would be, at this time right now, would be the one. Definitely up.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. Yeah, I read about that, and I'm like, dude, this is so good for him, and then also just seeing like for the community, like athletes coming out of here, it's super awesome to see.
Yep. Hey, you put me on the spot on that one. Sure, I had to think about that one for
sure. Hey, now you gotta for sure get him on the podcast.
Hey, I'm working on it, definitely.
That's awesome.
All right, so last question for you, Diego. Okay, so before you answer this, though, you would have to help me out with this question, okay?
Okay.
Who do you want to see on my podcast, the Javiiurena podcast next?
Who do I want to see? Okay. Yep. Are there restrictions?
Anybody, bro. Anybody you know whose story you want to be out there, you know? You have no restrictions. Okay. As long as you can contact them and help me out, you know what I mean?
Okay. I would definitely because I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like your audience right now is people around our age.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's been Loud Eddie, the other photographer. He was at Vlog Journal. I would say he would probably be the oldest one.
Okay.
But it could be anybody, to be honest.
Awesome. But as far as like people that follow you and like listen to the podcast,
our age for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Our age. Okay. Yep. I would love to connect you with his name's Andy Zamora.
Okay.
Andy's Home Loans. I'm not sure if you've heard about him.
I haven't looked up with him. Let's hear it.
He just had an event in Modesto on the 27th.
Okay.
And I got a chance to go in there for a bit for a recording that I was doing, and I stuck around afterwards. And dude, this guy is like a legend. Like,
Yeah,
if you put it one way, like literally a legend. Like, just to sum it up, like I first heard him speak last year, and this guy is like the most humble person you'll ever meet.
Okay.
Like, just humble, just cares about like helping his people out and helping the community out. But basically from like 2016, 2017, he went from like living in his like parents' garage to now like it doesn't even matter about the money or like what he drives and whatnot, but just like seeing like how he went from that to like now having a team of like I think like close to 20 people that are working with him.
Yeah.
And just how much he cares like about their success, and he just wants to see everyone win. I remember being at the dinner table with him the other like a couple months ago, and he was like, "Hey bro, like I gotta dip out to Los Angeles here pretty soon." And I was like, "Oh, for real?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fly out of Merced." I was like, "Cool." And then he like shows me his phone. He's like, "Don't tell anyone though." I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, I'm gonna go pick this up right now. And it's a photo of like a Lamborghini.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I'm like, "Dude, congrats, man."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, dude, how to make it happen, how to make it happen. And like, he just drives to Modesto in it the next day. And like, now if you follow him on Instagram, like no matter where he goes, he'll let anyone sit in it. Like if a stranger at a gas station walks up to him and is like, "Cool car," he'll be like, "Sit in it, rev it."
Ooh, and then
he tells them, like little kids too, he'll be like, "If you work hard enough, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can achieve it." So I think just for like the younger generation to be able to listen to his story, that would be awesome.
That sounds like a badass.
I would love to see him on your podcast.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Let's make it happen. You know, let's reach out to him for sure.
Oh, let's do it.
So, to end things off, do you have anything you want the viewers to know? Light it out. What you've been thinking about, like anything in life.
I'm just gonna end it with saying, like, just enjoy life. Just don't stress out about any situation, because I've been there. There's no situation that is ever gonna feel like you can't, like, it might feel like you can't get out of it, but there's always a new day ahead. I'm pretty sure with you too, everything you've once stressed about, if you look at it now, it's like it wasn't even that big of a deal.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of people have the problem, you know?
I feel like that's how it is now with like the one thing that happened to me today. I was like stressing out. I was like supposed to check into my Airbnb at 2.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting there around like 3, and I get there and they message me and they're like, "Hey, there's a power outage."
Ooh.
I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then he's like, "It should be fixed by 6:30. And I'm like, damn, like I needed to get work done. And like my laptop was dead with COVID too. I can't just walk into like a coffee shop and plug it in. So I was like stressing out. And then it got to the point where like I went on a hike, and then I came back and there was still no power, and it was like pitch dark black. I couldn't see anything inside. And I feel like it comes with growth too, but like a year ago I would have like probably like been like stressing out about it. But now it's just like just try to figure out the solution as fast as you can. So I was like, okay, lights are off. Let's cancel this. Let's just get a hotel, and that's it.
Definitely.
And it's just that's just like one instance today, but it happens in life so much where like maybe things don't go your way, or like the process takes a lot longer than you initially wanted.
One day at a time, you know, for sure.
Yeah. Instead of wasting more time stressing out about it and just like getting like sour and bitter and just like spreading that bad energy.
Be happy,
just, like,
you know, pretty much.
Just be like, okay, it'll get fixed.
Exactly.
Like,
definitely.
Get fixed at some point, and just do your best to fix it. So
for sure.
That's it, man.
All right. So Diego, thanks for coming on. This is the Javiiurena podcast. Diego Garcia. Be sure to check out his Instagram. Diego, what is it? Let us know. Let us hear your Instagram.
Oh, it's Diego Garcia Visuals.
Go give him a follow too.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Absolutely.